Welcome to the latest episode of the Low Production High Value Show, a show for and about entrepreneurs.
The following is my conversation with Duarte Garrido from DOJO AI.
Here we go. Welcome back, Duarte. It's great to have you. As I said to you when we weren't recording, you are our first returning champion. So thank you.
Awesome.
Good to have you back.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So we're going to talk about AI and AI agents, and we'll get into what you're up to related to that, specifically with your new venture. But I wanted to kick things off with just asking for those listening and those potentially watching on YouTube, how you define an AI agent.
Right. Okay. That's a good one to start with. I guess, listen, an AI agent is basically the doer in artificial intelligence, right? And it's a software program that basically executes on your behalf, whatever that means. Whether that means gathering data for you, actually doing actions in your browser, or executing campaigns on your platforms. But it basically is a software system that, on your behalf, executes things.
And to add to that, I mean, it's in some ways it's early days for agents. And depending on who you talk to, and for some, it's like, I won't say that agents are over, but that they are mature. Like the whole AI space is maturing and evolving at a rapid rate. But so you've defined it, but what do you think people misunderstand about agents, or are potentially misinformed about?
Yes, a lot, I think. It goes with AI, it's very polarizing, right? It's either it's not good for anything, or why doesn't it do everything? And I feel like people oscillate a lot between these two. And the truth is, as always, somewhere in the middle, right? It's an incredibly powerful technology. I think we can all recognize that. It's definitely not true that it's not good for anything. It's also not true that it's good for everything. And it's definitely not true that it'll replace us all and do everything that we do as humans. And that's not the case at all, right?
So you're more in the optimism camp rather than the doom and gloom?
I would say more on the optimism camp. Yeah, that's why I'm building an AI. I mean, I've literally, there's never been a more exciting time, I think, to be building in technology. It's amazing what AI and agents can do for you. I've started this journey 10 months ago now. So we're a very early stage company at DOJO, and we've got an alpha product, and we're being used by over 40 paying customers, right? In 10 months of starting a business.
Are those enterprise customers?
Those are, I'd say mid-market enterprise customers, yes. So basically, mostly in the UK and the US, tech companies, that's mostly who we sell to. But this wouldn't have been possible before AI. To build such a product in such a short amount of time, granted I have quite a bit of brain power around me. My co-founder was the global head of AI for a couple of tech unicorns for almost 2 decades before he join me in this venture. But even so, I mean, you couldn't do it with pre-Gen AI code, and now you can. So it's very exciting. And for marketers specifically, it's incredible, and it shouldn't be daunting, and it shouldn't be scary. I can tell you, I can reassure everyone, AI is not here to replace you. It is here to augment your capabilities. And actually, I think when it comes to marketing, it's here to, I believe this is kind of, obviously take this with a pinch of salt because I'm building in this space, but I think it's going to save the function. I think it's the technology to save the function. I think marketing was once amazing, but then it went digital, a bit like Dylan. It sort of lost its... And when it went digital, it forced marketers, I think, to become something that they're not, which is quote-unquote growth engineers or, specialized in data and workflows and cadences and tech, right? They became tool operators suddenly, when marketers were supposed to be the people closest to the consumer, right, to the end user, and they were supposed to be the creative brain of the company.
Well, there was a time when marketers didn't have to have a tech stack.
Yes, and I think we're going back to that. That's why I'm building DOJO. I'm building DOJO to get marketers back to that reality.
Like to the fundamentals, like the foundation?
Yeah, we say that all the time. That's kind of something that my co-founder and I keep repeating over and over to our team we're rethinking marketing from first principles, okay? What can we build that will mean marketers will no longer be serving the tools? They will be free to do what they're actually excellent at, which is being creative, strategic, and understanding the consumer. And I think because marketers haven't been allowed to do that for such a long time now, content sucks, right? Advertising is horrible. It's unoriginal. It's like people talk about AI slop. We've had slop way before AI, right? Most of corporate content has been sloppy for a long, long time.
We would get slop in the paper form in our mailboxes with direct mail flyers.
For sure. And the reality is that market is not going to change that. So AI is not going to be good to create better flop or better quality content. What it is going to do is going to allow very creative people to be creative again, to actually elevate the function, to be able to put out really exciting, differentiated, challenging content that we haven't done for a long, long time. And that's essentially what we're building at Dojo, is saying, listen, you don't have to waste time looking at Excel sheets anymore, trying to glue pieces of data back together, trying to cipher through complex dashboards spread throughout your 10 different platforms. You don't have to spend time doing clunky workflows, setting up cadences. If someone does this, we do this. If someone goes here, we do that. This is all deterministic. It's wrong. It never worked to begin with, right? It's not how marketing works fundamentally. So we've tried to trick it and fool it into being something that it's not. And what we're saying is scrap all that. Now you'll have an intelligent brain with all of your marketing data that you can rely on to do that operational work for you, that grunt work, that will give you the tools that you need to do what you're actually good at and the reason why you came to marketing in the first place.
But when you talk about, so like I'll call it delegating the analysis of disparate pieces of data from disparate sources and so on, was that the catalyst, or is that what you want to emphasize to marketers, or is it the freedom to return to the brainstorming, the creative, and so on? Like, what was the catalyst or the impetus, not just for Dojo, but like when you talk to other marketers, when you encourage them, don't get sucked down the rabbit hole of like analysis paralysis? Curious, like, talk to me about that sort of dichotomy.
I think they kind of go hand in hand. I think one is the kind of catalyst for the other. Right. I think that because marketers are too caught up with fragmented data, bad data that they can't really make sense of. And the reason is it would be difficult. I remember the first time I spoke with my co-founder about us starting Dojo, and I started going through marketing data with him. He's an engineer. He wasn't that familiarized with marketing data. And I remember him, after a few days of us working on this, he turned to me and said, there is no way that marketers can make sense of this. There is no way they're doing the right decisions based on the data that I'm seeing here. It's way too complex, too fragmented, mixture of qualitative and quantitative, structured, unstructured, spread between channels, different semantics between them. There is no way they can make sense of this. So, and instead of us as marketers or us as founders creating tools to help marketers, we went the other way. We went the way of trying to figure out direct attribution, right? Another fallacy in marketing. So let's add another layer of complicated bad data on top of everything else that we already cannot manage or make sense of. And suddenly you have just this web of lies, right? That is your marketing data and your marketing stack. And then we scratch our heads as to why we're struggling to convince our CFO, our CEO, our senior leadership of the ROI of what we're doing. We've got huge overhead, right? Because we keep bringing agencies to clean up our mess from everything. We have way too many tools, and we can't seem to do anything that we can for sure say is going to work and why it's worked. We can make assumptions, but we can't really say for sure. And no one's tried to solve that, to just make it simple before. We're doing
But is your solution stitching the data together from disparate sources and then surfacing or extracting insight?
Yeah.
For decision making, or is it more or is it more oriented to workflow?
End to end.
Okay.
It couldn't, like for me, it was, I'm building this tool for challenger brands, right? We're not building it for the Coca-Colas of the world. Those big companies, they do very inefficient and ineffective marketing to begin with.
But they have the brand inertia that helps them. Like it glosses over a lot of their flaws in their marketing.
That's
Okay.
exactly right. Everything seems to work because they're already at the top, but actually nothing works properly. The difference between them and the challenges is that the challenges don't have the resources, especially when it comes to things like SEO or paid media. They just don't have the resources to steal share of market from them. It's very, very hard. And unless they spend a lot of money on overhead and bring a lot of agencies and bring a lot of tools and bring a lot of brain power, it's very difficult. So we decided we're going to build a tool for that segment. For the segment that's actually dynamic, that's actually trying to do different things, to innovate, to make society better in whatever way they can, but they're trying to change the status quo. And they can't. They have their hands tied when it comes to marketing, because marketing is a rigged game for those who have a lot of resources. Because of these fragmented tools, because of the fragmented data, because of the need for agency resource and a lot of people to, specialized functions to be able to help you with things like Google Ads, Meta Ads, LinkedIn Ads, SEO, organic social, thought leadership. Right.
But I recognize there's a risk of complexity when you have, I'll call it a kit bag or a toolbox of multiple agents, but the agents are task specific. There's an agent for SEO, there's an agent for social listening or whatever it might be. And I have found whenever someone has come to me with a Swiss Army knife of marketing technology, there's inevitably trade-off.
Yes.
It does these three things extremely well, better than the competition. But these other three things that it suggests that so buy, one tool to rule them all. And in fact, no, it only does 50% of what I'm accustomed to achieving or what in terms of my needs to be met require. So how do you strike that balance between potentially overpromising and under-delivering when in fact you want to meet the requirements of the marketer?
So I think that was true in legacy software. I don't think it's true with AI anymore. It's a bit like the inflection point of the portable computer, right? When we realized that it could be X faster and 10X cheaper as well, when people thought they had to choose between one and the other. With AI, you actually can build a one tool to rule them all that's better at every single task it does, right? And that's because particularly in marketing is bigger than the sum of its parts. The problem we have today is that we keep looking at everything in isolation. One tool for SEO, and that tool just does SEO. Well, if that tool just does SEO, then how does it have the context of your positioning, of market movements, of trends, of voice of customer, of your paid ads, of your website performance? If you're just looking at Google Ads, if you're just using the tool to optimize your Google Ads, quote unquote, all that tool is doing is looking at your past Google Ads performance. It's optimizing for past performance, right? It's doing A/B testing at scale. What we're doing is, if you want to do a Google Ads campaign, you should be looking at what white spaces exist in the market that no one else is positioned to occupy. How's your website performing? What are the pages, the topics, the themes, the content that's drawing most of your ICP? Who is your ICP? What keywords are ranking for the highest that actually interest you and fit your positioning and fit your market? So all of these things should be taken into consideration when doing a Google Ads campaign, but currently they're not, right? So because Dojo, and just to explain very briefly, and I don't want to talk about Dojo too much, but basically what it does is it has this system of agents. The agents are connected to your GA4, Search Console, Google Ads, Meta, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. They pull all of the data from these channels, right? Audience data, content data, campaign data, ad level data, all of it, creative data. And then they connect it to third-party data sources that have SEO data, so keyword, traffic, SERP, technical SEO on you and your competitors, etc. Then they go and do an intelligent crawl of the open web. So there's a market research agent. All it does is go and read all of the Google reviews that exist about you, or read all of the articles that mention your brand, and actually understands all of it through natural language. It understands common themes, topics, complex human feelings and emotions. It understands all of it, right? AI can do that very, very well. All of that context is used to train. Dojo AI essentially it's like having a mini model that understands all of your marketing. That's like a digital twin of your whole marketing operation. So every decision that you make, every campaign, every piece of content, every strategy, everything that you're doing is done with the brain power of all of your marketing data, all of the context around your brand. This is the game changer.
We'll be back in a moment. And now, a word from our sponsor. Social media has become an imperative for almost every business. Discover how to successfully implement an effective social media strategy that is supported and integrated throughout every part of your organization with this essential book from our host, Andrew Jenkins, Social Media Marketing for Business, Scaling an Integrated Social Media Strategy Across Your Organization, is now available from Amazon or KoganPage.com. Now, back to the show.
Are there any risks? Because increasingly some websites are restricting or eliminating access for some AI agents that are, in a sense, learning for free.
Mm-hmm.
Are any risks there?
No, and I say this with the bravado of someone building in this space. But listen,
No.
again, take it with a pinch of salt. Listen, what I believe in is that agents and AI is going to become ubiquitous. I mean, Perplexity just launched the first agent-based browser,
Yeah.
right? Google's going to follow.
I've just started playing with it.
It's fantastic. I love Perplexity. I'm obsessed with their brand. With
Yeah,
everything.
I use Perplexity every day.
I think they're great. I'm a big fan. Anyway, but it's inevitable, right? You cannot block. It's the same. Blocking your website for agents will be the same as blocking your website for people, right? If you block your website for agents, you just disappear. So that's not going to happen.
When it comes to a person evaluating where and how an agent or automation could come into play for them, is there a kind of a checklist or a series of considerations or questions they should ask themselves to evaluate where and how, and also just simple readiness to adopt an agent or multiple agents? What are your recommendations there?
My first recommendation, can I focus on marketers specifically?
Yes, please.
Because I'd rather not kind of be
let's
AI prophet.
The show is for and about marketers, so let's keep it there.
Okay. So in marketing, I think the first thing that they shouldn't do is DIY, right? Don't try and build your own agent. There's a lot of resist the LinkedIn LinkedIn click of we've just replaced our whole marketing team with 4 agents that we've just don't go there.
Yes. Make your existing team more productive. Don't focus on the displacement of people.
And also don't believe that you can build an agent that will replace your content marketer, your SEO marketer,
That's just hype.
It's hype. There's a lot of hype on LinkedIn. But basically, if you build your own agent, unless you're an engineer and you know what you're doing, it's going to take you 50% there to a very basic task, and then it's going to start giving you a lot of headaches, a lot of problems, a lot of bad results. It's going to be unreliable. It's going to waste a lot of your time, right? It's just, we're not there. And I don't think we'll ever be there, frankly. I don't think that's the way this is going. The way this is going is
sorry to interject. Do you mean from a setting expectations that that the concept of agent will always be an assistant to delegate to versus a replacement, like a second brain, like again, just simply an assistant?
The first answer for that is yes, but also it's not going to be a DIY thing. You're not going to be building your own agents in your marketing team, right? Because agents are, as any software, you can build an MVP now with AI in a very easy way, or a kind of prototype. But then actually sustaining that software, QAing it, forget about it. You're not going to be able to do it as a marketer.
Well,
leave that
does that mean, no disrespect to DOJO, that Anthropic's partnership with AWS for their, I think it's going to be an agent store, that, to your point, the prospect of a marketer doing DIY versus going to find, no different than, there's already, my MarTech stack includes, Apollo and Marketo and like whatever else, the yada, yada, yada. Now I just go to Anthropic /AWS's agent store, and I go through, and I'll probably use AI to type in, here's the kind of marketer I am. Here's my daily activity. What agent or agents do you have for me? Is that what you foresee?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
And that's because
I love being wrong.
I wouldn't do that because, listen, there's a lot of use, like simple, I would say, civilian use for agents, for those kinds of agents that you can kind of build yourself or take it from such a place. To do menial tasks on your computer, things like that, book things for you, organize documents, execute a series of different steps on your browser or desktop, you'll be able to do all of that.
But if it's not DIY, like if you're saying avoid the DIY, then okay, I'm a marketer. I'm going to avoid the DIY. Now what do I do?
You rely on next-gen software for marketing, things like DOJO.
But do I go to the likes of a Product Hunt? Do I go to the LLM arena?
You mean to search for them? Is that what you mean?
Like, how do I, from a discoverability, or how do I find the right, again, no disrespect to Dojo, but like
No, it's
in the midst of the agent landscape. So if the Anthropic AWS is not the solution and DIY is not the solution, yes, this whole space is evolving so rapidly.
mm-hmm.
To the layperson, navigating it to find the right tool or tools could actually be daunting. Yes,
I get it. So, I mean, the first thing I say in any discovery call that we have, by the way, because we get a lot, and this is a problem with AI currently, we get a lot of inbound, right? Loads of inbound. Not all of that inbound has a problem to solve. There's a lot of window shopping with AI currently. And we are very deliberate with Dojo in the way that we grow currently. We want people to use Dojo if they have a real pain. If when I ask what their pain is, they say, we want to try out AI, we don't really onboard them.
Are you just discouraging them because of the cliche, when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail? You have to sort of talk them away from the hype and say, you know what, you're not either ready or you have a misperception about where and how AI will help you.
Yeah. Or you haven't realized what you need yet. You haven't realized what your problem is. And if you haven't realized what your problem is, you're going to look at AI and you're going to be lost. Because AI products are, in essence, still today, there's a lot of sort of blank slating, right? You can do with it a lot. So tools like Dojo, you can use them in 100 different ways, right? You can use them to tackle website conversion issues, paid performance issues, SEO issues, like efficiency issues. What is it that you need to solve that your current tech stack isn't helping you with?
Because that goes back to what I was asking earlier from considerations, questions to be asked as they assess their own situation to identify where and how an AI agent might help them, if at all. So is there low-hanging fruit? Are there some obvious areas to look at? Like, is it just improving process efficiencies? Is it making it faster, cheaper to reach certain objectives? Where do you advise people to do their own self-assessment?
So the first thing I say is you should want to become more independent. I'm thinking about CMOs right now, or VPs of marketing, right?
Independent from technology, you mean, or agency partners, or
from agency partners? I've seen, especially at the segment
that's not good news for me. I'm just kidding.
Well, it depends on the segment that you're working on, right? If you're a big enough enterprise, you'll always need agency partners. And actually, I think that agencies will reinvent themselves. And they're already going through a transformational period where it's going to be much more the creative side of things. They're going to go back to the agencies of the old world, where they're creative powerhouses full of incredibly creative, intelligent people that you can take the resources of to do incredibly exciting campaigns. Now, you won't need agencies to manage your day-to-day operations anymore. And that's very good news.
That goes back to the independence you were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And that's very good news for the segment that I'm talking about, which is the mid-market, because these guys struggle with justifying having to pay external partners to do their job for them. And I've seen that firsthand. I've seen how CEOs look at that, right? They're like, why? What's wrong with your team that you need to bring an agency for PR, an agency for content, an agency for brand, an agency for paid? There's something wrong. Like, can anyone do their job? And the reality is that no, they can't, because it's daunting and the data's horrible and the tools aren't helping them. But now with AI, that's the first thing is, do you want to take back control of your marketing? If so, and you want to reduce overhead, if so, definitely AI is the way to do it, right? The second one is, do you struggle with data? Do you struggle with, and not data in terms of amounts of data, do you struggle with making sense of it, with insights, right? It's the old adage of, you know, we've got a lot of data, but we're short of insights, right? And that should be problem number 2 that you want to solve with AI, because AI can actually process all of your data and in a very simple way help you make sense of it. The third problem that you can have is you don't have the necessary skills in-house. Again, if you're a smaller team, it might be that you don't have anyone specialized in ABM, specialized in meta ads, right? Specialized in influencer partnerships, specialized in SEO even.
I recognize that this is going to sound like a self-serving question or self-promotional, but like there are folks from agencies that listen and watch the show. If they are going to use AI, they're evolving their own business model and their services offered because of AI to these mid-market companies. Is it not a value proposition to these mid-market companies to say, okay, I can have an external agency who actually have now expanded or enhanced capabilities because of AI and potentially either at the same price point, like from this idea of I might be able to hire an agency still less than staffing it, even though AI can give me some productive resources, or maybe they say, okay, we're going to in-house the following, we're going to outsource the following. So maybe it's going to be a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B, but I'm wondering, to your point, because if it's the CEO and probably in conjunction with the CFO, having that conversation about how do we make every dollar
For me,
go farther or be more efficiently spent.
yeah, I think it all ties back to what agencies evolve to in the near future. If they break free from their current business model and they're going to,
And I think they have to justify their existence and
they'll have to.
their and the retainers that they're asking for, and we
Yeah.
face that issue too.
Yeah, and I mean, we're looking at news out of WPP and we're seeing how they're struggling, and those are the giants, right? And actually, I think the giants will probably suffer the most because they're bloated. They're hugely bloated, right? They have an advantage, which is they serve very large enterprise who are less price sensitive and less efficiency focused. But there's a lot of mid-market agencies who, if they're smart and reinvent themselves in the age of AI, they change their pricing structure to outcome-based instead of human capital or hours, which is terrible. It doesn't work anymore like that. And if they're more transparent in the way they deal with their customer, so for example, one thing that we do with Dojo is we have customers who use agencies. We sell Dojo to the customer, but the agency can use Dojo and we don't charge them for it, right? If the agency is serving the customer, they have seats at Dojo. So they will be operating under the same operating system as the customer. And suddenly the agency becomes part of the team, truly part of the team, truly integrated, seeing the same things they're seeing, operating within the same first principles that they're operating in. And that's a much more, I think, healthy relationship between agency and client. I think we're going to see a lot of that, by the way. You will always need fresh perspective from outside your company, especially when it comes to creativity and strategy. So by all means, pull in agencies. But pull them in when they can work with you, not against you, when they don't take share of ad spend, for example, and when they don't charge per hours, when they don't take 2 weeks to get back to you or to plan a campaign. Like they need to move at the same pace you do, and with AI they can. But we need to give them the tools.
To build on that, do you foresee the cliche, not cliche is the wrong word, but the day is supposed to come when there'll be $1 billion company with one person, or the $1 billion agency with one person?
No, I think that's LinkedIn fluff.
I agree, because any entrepreneur will tell you, and I know you are an entrepreneur, your business doesn't scale unless you get out of your own way. So if you want to be the company of one and you're running around spinning all the plates, have at it. You will get to your own end capacity.
Well, you will. And also, who the hell would want that? That
Not me.
horrible. It sounds horrible. It sounds like a horrible experience to me.
Yeah, that sounds a lot more work for me. That's not my objective.
Exactly right. And part of building a company is a beautiful thing, mostly because of the people that surround you every day. AI is not, and I repeat, AI is not a replacement for people. AI is a multiplier, right? It's got a multiplying effect. It makes us all much better, much better. So let's use it like that.
What's your sort of two-part question? What's the coolest thing you've seen recently of an application of AI or something you did yourself? And what's the biggest misuse? And I'll give you a situation. I saw a TikTok of a mom who had uploaded a picture to ChatGPT and said, convert this to a page of a coloring book, and it was a picture of herself and her daughter, and she gave it to her daughter now, and it could just endlessly give personalized pictures for her daughter to color. And I thought that is one of the coolest things like from a creative just and unique use case. So I give you that just as an example. So like, what's the coolest recent use case you've seen, and what's also the stupidest or biggest waste of time?
I'll start with the stupidest because it's easy, right? There's, there's no shortage of bad AI stuff out there. I would say the most recent one that I looked at was the AI created influencer photos that are being spread around LinkedIn. And I'm like, surely this is not something we want in our world.
Like the fake influencer, or someone taking their own picture and
No, the
enhancing
fake
it?
people. The
Okay.
fake people photos and the fake people videos, and it's just, I mean, it's just a horrible use of AI, right? It's the same thing as I think it was Sam Altman. I think someone asked him at some point whether AI would be able to write a novel, and I think his answer was yes, but who the hell would want to read it, right? It's like,
Good answer, Sam.
yeah, it's like, why would you want? By the way, I might be completely misquoting. This may be fake news, but I saw this somewhere. And who would want to interact with fake people or read something that's supposed to be personal, right? That's supposed to be creative and original, and it was written by a computer program. No matter how intelligent that computer program is, it doesn't have life experience, right?
Yeah.
So no, I don't think that's good use of AI. The best one, can I do self-promotion here a little bit?
Okay.
Okay.
I'll let it go this time.
Okay. We had a very cool use case the other day where a customer basically uploaded their lead data from their CRM into Dojo, and they asked Dojo to basically look at all of their marketing activity, all their campaigns, paid and organic, their SEO, everything that they've done in marketing throughout that period that those lead data was correspondent of, understand what resulted, what correlated, which is, by the way, the right way of analyzing marketing effectiveness, what correlated with the spike or drop in leads. And Dojo went through types of content, posts, specific posts on organic and paid campaigns, keywords, types of creative words, like everything. And it told exactly what works and what doesn't, right? Not because it attributed directly to it, but because it can actually do really strong correlation modeling at scale. And that's a superpower that AI has that I believe is actually going to save marketing from this false dream of direct attribution.
What's that actual insight we were talking about earlier? It's like, what's the so what of the data? So you've got all this data from all these sources, and like to your point, it sounds like this new client was like, there's something here, but I don't know what it is or where and how to find it. And they're sort of, I won't say they're paralyzed, but they're at a point where there's a degree of inaction because they needed to find that correlation, right? That would bring about a decision. Well, as we come to a close, what words of advice would you give to a mid-market marketer from a mid-market size firm or mid-size for just in terms of as they try to navigate this space and evaluate where and how AI might help them? What advice, if any, would you give?
The first advice I would give them is polish your creative chops. That's the first one, is go back to what got you into marketing in the first place, because you will be using that to make your brand stand out among a sea of sameness. Use AI to give you all the resources that you need to do excellent creative, excellent strategic, effective, relevant creative. So you can make sense of all the data, understand what people want, understand what no one else is doing, and then do something truly original, truly creative, that'll make people feel things, that'll push the creative industry forward, that will break barriers. That's your job as a marketer now, is to break barriers and do something different. And then use AI to help you get there.
I thought that was going to be my last question to you, but there's one last piece, but it's tied to what you were just saying, where you're recommending that a marketer go back to the first principles, to their strengths. And one of the things I've been talking about recently with some folks, and what has come up in those conversations, is this idea of, as you said, AI can help augment. But where AI can't replace a marketer is this idea of discernment, discerning quality, discerning, like to look at something and know that that is truly creative, or to sort of intuitively something is well-written copy. AI can only be, I'll call it, assess or judge based on patterns, provided the context you give it. But I think it goes back to what I was saying. AI, as you said, is going to augment or provide efficiencies. But this idea, I don't think it's going to replace the discernment or the discerning capability of a marketer.
Agreed. Keep your critical thinking intact. You'll need it.
That's a great place to leave it off. Listen, thank you so much for your time. Truly appreciate it. And for folks listening or watching, where can they find you?
Well, they can find us on dojoai.com. They can find me on LinkedIn under Duarte Garrido, and that's it.
Thanks again, and I look forward to following your journey.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Low Production High Value Show. Be sure to give us a rating and subscribe to make sure you never miss an episode. Don't forget to check out Volterra at volterradigital.com to learn more about how they can support your social media marketing.